1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's Cure of the What Now.
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the What Now.
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the What Now.
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the What Now.
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh. Served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu. Hello, fellow aspiring chefs, and welcome to episode 9 of
Cure of the What Now. Yum!
Season 2, the one show where we know ham and melon is not an acceptable snack. What's wrong with you? Those are two disgusting things.
Oh my gosh, you just like both of those things.
I do. Here's the thing. I understand that salty and sweet is a good combination, and I actually think if I liked ham or melon, this would probably be good, but they're both gross, so you can't take two gross things and make a good thing.
It's true. It's why I would never, for instance, take mint and add it to coffee, because those are two disgusting flavors.
What about a peppermint mocha?
That's gross.
Oh.
Get that out of here.
Oh my gosh, you're throwing down the hammer. What about a mint and lemon?
Stop it. Mint is bad.
That's a
Any
mojito.
form of mint is I don't like it.
I like that it is parasitic and will take over your entire garden.
Interesting. So it's like the mushroom on Parasect. Or
Yeah.
Paris. Okay.
Also, cats really like it.
Okay.
Who am I? Who are you? What are we doing here?
Why
Is there
are
a purpose?
any of us here?
Yes. The answer is no, there is no purpose. Everything is random and pointless, so make the meaning that matters to you.
There's no inherent meaning. That doesn't mean that there can't be meaning.
My name is Kat, and I am just trying to enjoy some crunchy shrimps.
Shrimp! 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 We go live now to the courtyard where the children are screaming, demanding fried shrimp. Oh my gosh, one of the cafeteria ladies, she's been tied up and they're demanding to know where she hid the shrimp.
They've knocked over a table. This is a crisis situation.
We'll update you every 15 minutes as the story develops.
Dated early 2000s reference. Would you like some shrimp, none of which I've licked?
I'm your co-host, Joel, and also, I know that smiling is one of the most important rules for catching music notes. What are they actually called? Fairy tones?
Fairy tones.
Fairy tones.
No, the fairy tones are the little creatures. The notes are just notes.
Okay. I know that it's important to smile while capturing notes, and so I'm just going to put on the biggest, creepiest smile you've ever seen. Please see the YouTube thumbnail for details of that picture.
Joel works very hard on those thumbnails, so you have to look at them every week. That's the rule.
Well, no, I'm just saying that if you want a visual representation of what I'm trying to describe with my words, poorly, I might add, it will be in the thumbnail.
Absolutely. Joel, do you know how I know that we are not a train?
How's that?
Because we are not on any sort of rails. You might say we are off the rails.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a good analogy. But before we get back on track, let me just say, I worked on there's an episode of Heart Catch, and I believe it's the one where Erica hasn't done her summer homework, but she has a moment where she gets a little angel Erica and a little devil Erica on her shoulder, and one of them is telling her, I think, do your homework, and the other one is telling her, don't do your homework, screw that.
Go have fun.
And I really enjoy that picture of Erica. It might be, out of the many screenshots I've taken of Erica, my favorite picture of Erica. And so I have occasionally tried to draw other characters in that style, kind of chibi, kind of like minimal details.
Simplified.
Simplified, yeah. Angel wings and halo and whatever. And so this weekend, I finished working on a digital version of Kokone Fua, and I colored it, and it looks really good. I'm proud of it. It doesn't look professional. It's you can tell that I'm still learning.
Don't minimize yourself. You did a really good job, and you worked hard, and you're proud of it. Say it.
Yeah, I worked hard, and I'm proud of it. I'm just saying that someday I hope to be able to sell prints or postcards or stickers or whatever at a convention, and this is still not quite to that level. I need to refine my skill a little further. But I did work hard, and it's the art piece that I'm most proud of. So in our episode descriptions, both on YouTube and on your podcatcher of choice, there's a link to my Twitter account, Joel Can't Draw.
And eventually he's going to have to change that title to he can draw. He's learning. Yeah. I was really excited to get Joel an iPad for Christmas because he wanted to learn how to do digital art, and Procreate is pretty beginner friendly, as far as I know. I'm still using my laptop to draw, so I have no experience with the iPad, but Joel is doing a really good job learning that program. Joel, do you take requests and or commissions, particularly from beautiful wives?
I certainly am willing to try.
All right. So you've got your little angel Fua.
Yes.
Can I have a devil Yui?
Sure.
Excellent. I mean, a devil Ram would probably fit better from what I know of her character, but like Yui and Fua are the pair.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Now, really quickly, you are aware that Fua's her last name.
I know.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I'm going to call her the name that I feel comfortable with.
Okay.
Anyway, we finally got to watch Delicious Party again.
It's back! But before we can talk about that, we got to do our lead-in discussion, where we try to pitch a season of PreCure. I'm drawing a blank. Are you drawing a blank?
Season of PreCure where they're all bunnies.
Okay, to celebrate the Easter holiday. Sure.
Oh, happy Easter, everybody who celebrates. We are, in fact, recording this on the holiday, and I am going to go eat some lamb.
That's not a bunny.
No, that's not a traditional Easter food.
Oh, there's traditional Easter foods. I see.
Yeah. Lamb, for obvious reasons, and then ham for reasons I don't understand, because ham is gross. Yeah. It's a religious thing. Jesus is the Lamb of God, so it's like a metaphor.
Oh. What's a metaphor?
Nothing! What's a metaphor you? No, I don't really have a lead-in discussion this week. I'm really excited to talk about Delicious Party now that it's back. We could go back to our regular having a planned discussion question next week.
Okay, we're breaking tradition because we're so excited about Delicious Party PreCure.
Oh, last week I said I was going to make a carrot cake, and I am proud to announce that instead I thought, how can I take the essence of carrot cake and make a delicious cookie? So I made these super pillowy, soft carrot cake cookies with cream cheese frosting, and they're amazing, and they're going to make everybody happy at Easter dinner.
Delicious Smiloo is what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be grinning from ear to ear.
You ate one. Did you feel overcome with the urge to go, Delicious Smiloo?
No, but only because I don't like saying catchphrases unironically from the shows that I watch. I would feel a little strange.
I agree. I think Kiriyaba is probably the one that I would be most likely to say, but it would still be ironic.
Absolutely. Now, we have finally gotten back episode 6 of Delicious Party PreCure, the one that is about fried prawns being under attack, which still is the most hilarious title I think I've ever seen of a show ever. You probably want a succinct summary. Fua and Kokone, it turns out that through their... Fua and Kokone, that's not right. Kokone and Yui, they can Skype each other from their smartwatches or their Max Heart watches or whatever they're called.
You do know Yui is her middle name, right?
No, Yui's her first name.
Is it?
I am correct in this. And so it turns out that they can kind of chat with each other over their watches, and they're working together to make like sandwiches or something like that. And Kokone cannot do anything half-heartedly. She whole hearts everything, and so she makes like 50 sandwiches.
She has a ham carving station.
She does, yeah.
This bougie B word.
She has wealthy privilege, that's for sure. Now, that's basically it. That's the episode. Gentle decides that she's going to attack somewhere different than she's been attacking because her logic is that the PreCure, who have super strength and I think super speed, won't be able to interfere if she's slightly further away than where they've been before. So she attacks the school, and Yui and Kokone are already investigating. I'm not doing a very good job with this succinct summary. Pam Pam came to the school.
Oh my god, Pam Pam!
Pam Pam is worried about Kokone for some reason, or Pam Pam just has separation anxiety because she's a dog, and she ends up hiding inside of a tea kettle that some students startle her out of, and they think that there's a monster haunting the school. So Yui and Kokone are trying to investigate, because it's their duty as PreCure, not only to save the recipe, not only to defeat the Boondaroo gang, but also investigate any random mysteries that they happen to hear about at school.
Well, they gotta protect people from monsters. If you have the power to do something good and you don't do that thing.
But they couldn't transform, so what makes them any different from the other students? Anyways, tracks, stay on them.
You stay on them.
Gentle attacks the school at the same time that these two girls happen to already be looking for a monster. They have to fend off the Ubazao without PreCure powers, because Pam Pam and Kome. I got Kome and Kokone mixed up. They both got the K sounds. But anyways, they can't transform, so they have to try to kind of distract the Ubazao as regular civilians. And then Mary Chan shows up just in time. They transform, they beat the bad guy. And at the very end of the episode, finally teasing the thing that many people have been waiting for, she's become a meme in her own right. Kokone and Yui realize that everywhere that's been attacked by the Boondaroo gang so far has been reviewed by a particular user on basically Instagram. It's not called that.
They call it Curestagram.
Oh! I think it was Curesta, maybe.
It was Curesta, but
Okay.
Insta is often used as shorthand for Instagram, so
okay.
I assume it's Curestagram.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So they realize that there's someone who's been blogging about these foods on the day that they happen to get attacked, and so they decide that they're going to investigate. So it seems like our girl, Ran, is finally going to be a main character starting next episode. And another thing that might be relevant, might not, is that Gentle realized that these two girls who become PreCure might go to this school, having been there and also wearing the school uniform, which makes me want to go back and rewatch the first 5 episodes and see if she's ever seen them in their civilian clothes and if it's ever been their school uniform. But that's been your succinct summary, served hot and fresh.
Are you ready for me to give you a little bit of a hard time? Have you braced yourself? That may have been the longest succinct summary anyone has ever given.
The succinct summary is that there's fried prawns. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Here's the succinct summary. Yui teaches Fua how to make sandwiches. They go to school. Fua takes all of the sandwiches with her, so Pam Pam doesn't get any. Pam Pam follows them to school, and hijinks ensue, leading to students thinking that she's a monster lurking in the home ec room. At the same time, Gentle decides to attack the school because she doesn't think the PreCure will be there, but surprise, the PreCure are looking for the monster that is actually Pam Pam, and they fight her, and they take back the pee-pee of shrimp. The shrimp pee-pee. Shrimp pee-pee. Summarized. Did you time me? It was 10 seconds flat.
Okay, yeah, very nice. You shrunk the world again. Very good.
Fun fact for those of you who maybe didn't know, in the early episode of My Little Pony where Rainbow Dash says, I can clear these clouds in 10 seconds flat. If you actually count the frames and the seconds, it does take her exactly 10 seconds.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that the animators
Cared enough
paid attention to
put
that.
that in there.
Yeah. Did you like this episode?
It was all right. I'm thankful that the show is back. We get more Kokone goodness, but it was kind of a nothing episode a little bit.
I was expecting more Ram in it. I thought maybe the school food being under attack would be the straw that broke her.
Ah, okay.
And I really wanted that scene of her being like, okay, what the fuck? And I didn't get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let Rand say the F word.
Well, and there was an episode, so the student council decides that everyone's going to stay inside the classroom for 20 minutes while they patrol the school and look for this monster. I don't know what the student council are going to do if they meet a monster. I think you suggested off mic that they would just call the police or something. But, and I don't know what police would do against a poltergeist, you know? It just seems like this is a solution, or a problem that has no solution.
Yeah, they don't have like a bat signal for the PreCure.
Yeah, exactly.
Would it be an onigiri?
Yeah, I think it would be. But Kokone and Yui decide that they have to go to the bathroom in order to sneak out in order to try to look for the monster themselves. And I'm pretty sure that Ran is between them. I think she's in their classroom with them at the time. So it's just kind of interesting that I don't know. They're going to be spending the next episode looking for someone who's literally, like, right there, who might have even been assigned to a group project with them in the past.
It's funny, though, because Fua Kokone does say nobody knows who she is.
Yeah.
She's the mystery phantom food reviewer.
Well, how is that even going to work? I know we speculate about next episode later in the podcast, but, like, if she's truly anonymous on her Instagram account, then I guess what they'll do is they'll follow her, they'll wait till she posts, and then they'll just sprint to that location as fast as they can.
Yeah, maybe she'll be like, get excited, besties, I'm about to go check out that new ice cream place. And they're like, we gotta book it to the ice cream place. We are her besties. We've formed a parasocial bond now.
No, they suspect her of being a Boonderoo gang member. They're going to go perform a citizen's arrest on this person.
They suspect her of being Boonderoo now, but once they follow her, they'll be like, man, we can really tell she's a good person just from her posts on social media.
No, I completely disagree. What's going to happen is they're going to show up. Ram's going to be about to eat her first unspoiled food in, like, years, right? Because she keeps eating food that has gotten the recipe stolen. They're going to duct tape her to the chair. They're going to knock the spoon out of her hand and be like, stop right there, thief. And she's going to be like, I didn't do anything. And then across town, there's going to be an explosion. They're going to go, oh, shit. And they're going to have to run that way. And Ram's going to follow because why do these random people just attack her food for no reason?
She'll still be duct taped to the chair. She'll be like hopping the chair after them. Yeah. Did I ever tell you about my dad's older brothers being duct taped to a chair?
I believe so, but why don't you tell our listeners?
Sure, I love this story. It's such great parenting advice. My dad was the youngest of a family of 7, so many children. And his 2 older brothers were fighting nonstop. And their mom worked, and she was exhausted, and she was busy. So finally, she snapped, and she put them back to back on a chair and taped them together.
Oh. Okay.
So they're sitting there in these chairs taped together, and one of their other younger brothers walks up and pushes them down the stairs.
Okay, so the moral of the story is don't duct tape your children in a way that they can't defend themselves over a cliff or a set of stairs or any kind of
make sure
drop.
It's fully flat ground. Although I still think he would have pushed them over, but the fall enabled them to break free of their bonds. And according to my dad, the first thing they did was get up and beat that little brother up. So he got what he deserved.
I guess so, from a certain sense, yeah. And it doesn't sound like their aggression problem was solved by being taped to a chair.
No, I don't think it was. So maybe not the best advice for folks moving forward. Joel was an only child, so he missed out on all these ideal moments of sibling growth.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's one other scene that I want to shout out from this episode really quick before I forget to mention it. Mary Chan is babysitting Kokone. God, it's been so long, I've forgotten some of the character names. Like, honestly, I have.
At least we know the childhood best. He wasn't in this episode.
No, he wasn't.
Yusuke Urameshi was missing. Could he be gentle?
Focus! Tracks! Stay on them!
We're not a train!
He's a babysitting. You said you knew we were! Contradiction!
I said this is how I know we're not a train, because we're not on any tracks.
No, you
Mari
said we were derailed.
is babysitting Kokone.
Who's back in her baby form, her humanish form, and she's just rolling back and forth on the floor, and Mary has to keep jumping over her instead of, like, taking a step back because he exists in a 3D plane. But it was a very cute moment, and later when the watch starts going, the PP has been stolen or whatever, he stops jumping, and Kokone just kind of, like, slides into his leg and looks up like, what? We were having fun.
And then she is a fox again when she gets to...
Of course.
Yes. I also liked this episode okay. Like I said, I wish that it had been a little bit more Ram focused.
Yeah.
I wonder if the writers are trying to misdirect us. We all were theorizing that the student council president could be gentle. That could be her after school activity.
Yes.
And they definitely hint toward that in this episode. She says, we're going to go look for the monster while everybody else stays in their classrooms. And then we don't see her again. We see the other student council members, but where did she go? Nobody knows. But we do see Gentle. And so it's like, oh, she could be Gentle. We didn't see them in the same room. But that to me feels like they could be pulling something on us. Kind of like how in Sweet, they were like, who could Muse be? Here's 3 characters it could be. Oh, it's none of them.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. It just seems... It would be interesting if it wasn't the student council president. She does seem to... She gets a little... So in this show, specifically, every time one of the main characters shows up on screen, they get a little placard in the corner of the screen. So, Mari-chan gets one, Kokone, Yui, their energy fairies, as well as Yusuke Urameshi. They all get name placards, and that makes sense. They're all in the opening credit. They're all in the OP. They're the main characters, etc. But the student council president also gets that shows up. And I mean, maybe that's because she's going to be a recurring regular, but I just suspect that she's either going to be gentle or an ally later down the road.
Overall, I would say this was a good episode to come back to Delicious Party on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I missed this fun, nice show. It's so colorful. Like, compared to Sweet, I would say the backgrounds are a lot more vibrant.
Yes. I think that the animation techniques have evolved since Sweet came out and that sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's just a really fun show to watch visually and with what's actually happening. Quick Star Twinkle update. Fu is a horse now. Personally...
She's an alicorn. Excuse me.
Here's the thing. Right here. I personally think that she was cuter as a puffball.
Yeah.
But she's also having a really good time being a horse.
I don't think she's off-putting as a horse. I agree that Fua in her fluffy form seemed more snuggleable, whereas in her horse form, they're going to have to, like, do some weird, like, she can grab things with her hooves, which horses can't do in real life kind of thing. She really grew on me when I originally watched it. Like, at first I was kind of like, that's weird, why'd you redesign her? But she's more of a character now. She's no longer baby. She craves power.
Imagine Elena doing the horse in a hospital bit. There's a horse loose in the spaceship. Nobody knows what to do. We've never had a horse in a spaceship before.
And then we have this space serpent who wants to destroy everything, and the horses are like, come over here, I'll stomp you with my star twinkly hooves.
If you even look at my PreCure.
Okay, but...
But anyway, that's your Stwinkle update.
The Stwinkle update. Now, really quickly, how do you feel? I saw a tweet that was saying that, like, oh, I love that Hinata is implied to have ADHD, and if you know the symptoms of ADHD, Hinata from Heal Good really fits the bill quite closely. And then they said, and I'm also glad that we also have autistic representation in the form of Himari from Kira Kira was one of them. And then they also had Kokone, and then they also had Minori from Tropical Rouge. Would you, and I mean, obviously, don't diagnose people for real, but these are fictional characters. Are you willing to accept that headcanon that Kokone feels like she could be on the spectrum?
So you know my rule. I think that headcanons are personal and they are how we interact with media and internalize it. So if you headcanon Kokone as autistic, that's great. I could see that. She doesn't read that way to me. I think that especially with a lot of neurotypical people, there's a tendency to read anyone who is introverted as autistic.
Yeah.
And in reality, autism is a spectrum. There are extroverted autistic people. There are autistic people who like other people. It's more the communication delays and the hyperfixation on specific interests that characterizes autism, sensory processing issues.
See, and I would say that this episode with Kokone deciding to, now that she can make a sandwich, she makes like 40 of them. I don't know, right? Like I said, I'm not a psychologist or whatever, but it just kind of feels like she does get hyper fixated on things.
Do you know what she reads as to me?
What's that?
She reads as someone who was set apart from her peers due to her immense wealth, and so she has never had friends, so she doesn't know how to behave.
Okay, yeah.
Which would have some overlap with autism. Autism is also isolating from neurotypical peers, but in a different way. But like I said, though, I'm comfortable with that as a headcanon, and it doesn't bother me. Yeah. I just didn't see it until somebody else was like, I think this.
I would say, too, that a lot of times with characters that are non-typical, I don't know what the correct umbrella term is, but like...
Neurodivergent.
Well, so neurodivergent is for people who are neurodivergent, but I'm talking about if you also have a character who's gay or trans or there's a big umbrella of characters who aren't well represented or haven't been well represented, and there's now a bigger push to include them in more roles and stuff. But like when a director includes a character that is non-typical is the word I'm going to use, they typically try to focus on it. They try to like bring it center stage. So the kid from Jurassic World to me read very autistically, and I believe they said that they coded him like that and then later denied it, which was super weird. But you know, he had all of these facts about dinosaurs, and the only thing he wanted to talk about was dinosaurs. And so to me, that feels like a character where they're trying to say, we're including this neurodivergent character and we're trying to represent real life people who might, you know, be like this. Whereas Kokone, if they're trying to represent anything, it's the social awkwardness of not having many friends.
Totally. You want to know something interesting that the more people I work with, the more I discover?
What's that?
Society at large is not overly accepting of like really niche special interests. So like I have one kiddo I worked with whose special interest was dogs. She can tell you anything about literally any dog in the world.
Yeah, I've met her. She's amazing.
That is a pretty normal thing. People are like, oh, how cute, you like dogs. I have another client whose special interest is knives. He really likes knives. He likes to look at them. He likes to buy them. He doesn't use them. He's not like violent with them, but everyone's like, oh, we've got a plan on how to keep this person from looking at knives. And it's like, no, man, that's what he likes.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
That is really interesting. And while this is not a psychology podcast, I do wonder if people can empathize with, like, even if you're not a dog person, you must surely have met someone who is a dog person. So if you meet someone whose special interest is, I can tell you what year the pug was officially introduced or whatever, you can go, oh, you're a dog person who really enjoys dogs. Whereas knives, not a lot of people, I don't think, are typically into like, oh yes, you know, the 17-inch blade is better for this kind of work and the 15-inch blade is better for that kind of work. So when someone's that hyper-fixated, you're like, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's very much like your traditional guy's guy, like hunting and fishing and using knives for appropriate purposes. He's a cool guy.
He's not stabbing his neighbors or that sort of thing. He's just using it while in the outdoors.
But, you know, generally it's good to use your platform for things that matter to you. And something that matters to me is treating everyone across the spectrum of neurodivergency with respect and as adults who can have their own interests and make their own choices. And I feel like the field of mental health care has a long way to go for that. So I'll get off my soapbox now. I'm sorry for...
No. I absolutely love your perspective on this. One last thing I want to say about this particular episode of Delicious Party before we can move on. There were kind of quite a few plot threads going on here. But one that I feel was kind of like the C plot was Kokone wanted to be included in classroom activities, which is something that they do in Japan more so than they do in America, as far as I'm aware. And she was like, oh, I'll take out the trash. And they're like, no, you absolutely can't. You're the princess. Your hands are too dainty. And they do rock, paper, scissors to decide who's going to do what chores, and she's excluded from that game, which hurt my heart, because clearly she was trying to indicate she wanted to join in. But by the end of the episode, they've come around to her because when the Ubazao attacked, she helped get them out of a shed that they'd been trapped in due to the Ubazao's antics. And I really like that. I'm glad that Kokone is getting other friends outside of Yui. Yui's probably going to remain her closest friend that she'll actually spend most of her time with, but at least she is connecting with the people in her classroom.
You know what would be a great episode?
What's that?
Kokone wants to hang out with Yui, but Yui's like, sorry, I've got plans with Yusuke Urameshi. And then Kokone's like, does she not like me anymore? And maybe this is after Rand is introduced, and Rand is like, no, she just has other friends.
Not everyone spends every waking minute with a single person. Kokone ponders. They do?
You remember that time you made 50 sandwiches for one person? She makes 50 sandwiches for 50 people. Oh, but then each person only gets one sandwich.
I hope that Ran and Kokone bounce off of each other like that. That's wonderful.
I get the vibe that Rand's energy is going to be a little much for Kokone, but I think they will learn to embrace one another's differences.
Yeah, of course. Also, shout out to the girls. Well, I guess it was mostly Yui trying to defeat the Ubazao, or not defeat, but distract the Ubazao while in civilian clothes or whatever, so, without PreCure powers. And she showed that she once again is quite good at soccer, so she used the soccer ball to kind of like, hey, dummy, I'm over here.
If all headcanons are valid, can I headcanon that Yusuke Urameshi is secretly a ghost?
Can you explain how you came up with that?
I've never seen him interact with a person outside of Yui. Or when Yui wasn't present.
He interacts with Mary.
When Yui's not present?
I swear he has friends.
He's haunting her specifically. That's why his outfit, when he finally gets his transformation, will be white.
Okay, all right. Headcanon accepted.
Sweet time.
Sweet, pretty
No.
cute.
We should probably talk about Max Heart first.
Ask the question.
Do you want to talk about Max Heart or Sweet?
No. Ask if anything relevant happened in this episode of Max Heart.
Did anything relevant happen in this episode of Max Heart?
Not really. We get introduced to a new general, and I wanted to write down his name, and I didn't. I think it's Uraganos.
Joel asked me, what silly name are we going to have for this bad guy? Kind of like how the other one is Dracula. And internally, I was like, silly name, like Scrimpus? And then Joel went, yeah, we can jokingly refer to him as like Sinbad. And I went, oh, he meant like a fake name.
Like a reference.
Like Dracula. So we will not be calling him Scrimpus.
He is neither a Scrimpus nor an Uraganos.
He's a weird pirate Oni. He's got red skin and horns, but he's also got like a little bandana and an open vest and the big pants.
Yeah, so that's, when I was trying to come up with like what name could I use to refer to him, one of the names I came up with was Aladdin, because Aladdin also has poofy pants and the open vest. But I think Sinbad makes more sense. He feels like a sailor to me, but he also feels like a mix between a sailor or a pirate and a circus strongman. I think that's what he's supposed to represent. He's the physically powerful general that we've met.
Yeah, it's a shame that there's really no way to differentiate them based on their fighting styles. That's one of the things I like best about Star Twinkle, actually, is each of the villains has a different way of fighting the PreCure. They're not all just summon giant monster, wait for giant monster to be defeated, leave.
Yeah, no, KiraCure did that pretty well as well. I mean, they did usually summon some kind of a monster, but the method by which they absorbed the KiraCure or whatever was different for each of them.
Rio, straight up, was the best villain I've seen in all of PreCure.
Fair enough.
I love him. So
basically nothing happened in this episode, and I don't want to talk about it, but we did get introduced to another character, and thank goodness, because, Dracula just continuing to show up and then getting defeated and then going away was boring. So now we have a new guy who will show up for probably the next 3 or 4 episodes and then get scared away. And then we'll meet probably the lady one, because there's always one lady.
Always one big booby evil lady. Also, Hikari discovers having a good time and and the next heartiel shows up and goes, finally, and introduces themselves, or is introduced by Seikun as Passion.
Yes.
Do you like them? I thought you would be really excited by their design.
They're so good. I cannot wait to see Passion actually interact with the characters next episode, and hopefully it won't be boring. But wouldn't it be... So Seikun, the first time she showed up, I think they all use she pronouns, but the first time she showed up, she went off to try to find the queen, and also she kept pointing at different things and being like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Because she represents curiosity. Passion is dressed kind of, it feels like a Greek toga, and so I wonder if she's going to be drawn to competitions. Like, I think she'll be, like, flipping through the TV, and she'll land on Iron Chef, and her eyes will just be burning bright, and she'll be like, yes! Blood for the blood god! I hope that she has, like, a over-enthusiastic mode of expression.
Absolutely. Now you can do...
Sweet, pretty cute, ah!
Ah!
So, we watched 2 episodes of Sweet PreCure, episodes 26 and 27, and I actually wrote down little notes for what these episodes are about. What?
You're always so prepared to do this podcast.
I am. Listen, If I have pen marks all over my hands, and if I take the time to decipher them, the meaning of the universe can be found.
Oh, don't tell secret. What does that one mean? I'm sorry for more Parks and Rec references.
Okay, so in episode 26, the minor trio gets a power boost, Mephisto goes, hey, we're halfway through the season, time to give you guys new forms, new powers. And so they transform, they get their own henshin sequence, which we'll definitely talk about, but is not part of the succinct summary. And this episode is focused on the fairy tones. A lot of the episode is from their point of view, and we learned out that they have like a bit of their own personality and their own set of rules that they follow when they're out in the real world. And that's basically it. The bad guys briefly capture the fairy tones, but by working together, they're able to free themselves, and the PreCure transform, and then they save the day.
They're so cute.
It is amazing. I loved this episode.
Yes.
Then in episode 27, how do I say this? It's one of those episodes of TV where they try something different. There's an episode, there's musical episodes of a lot of other shows. There's some shows that take place where the main character isn't even part of it, and it centers on a side character. And so the premise of this episode is that everyone's trying to get something done in 30 minutes. The PreCure girls are trying to get ready to go camping, and the parents are going to be leaving in half an hour, so they have to be back and ready to go in 30 minutes. And the minor trio have promised Wario, I almost call him Mephisto, what the heck? They promise Wario that they will sing the Song of Sorrow in 30 minutes, and nothing will stop them. So they're racing against the clock, they fight each other, and then the episode ends. Outside of the premise of the episode and some of the shenanigans of the PreCure, like being in different places and looking for each other, there isn't a lot to this episode, but it's still a fun one because of the goofy setup and the way that the screen keeps like minimizing and showing this like clock countdown thing. And I believe that the negatone shows up at like exactly like 10 minutes or something like that because it's following the exact beat of a typical PreCure episode. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I really, really like we've only got 30 minutes and they keep going back to the clock. It adds a level of tension to the episode that may be artificial, but is still effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back to the fairy tones.
Yes.
They have a whole wake-up sequence that they do.
It's a Rube Goldberg, but with fairy tones.
Yes, for Hibiki. And Hibiki kind of stirs after they do this whole effort right before her alarm clock goes off. And she wakes Hummy up and she goes, "It's time to go. I'm feeling great." And Hummy's like, "Well, it's so early." And Hibiki goes, "No, I've been waking up before my alarm recently." And in the background, the fairy tones kind of giggle and high-five each other.
They, for some reason, don't want Hibiki to think that they're the ones who woke her up, but they are. And, it's so good.
They're building her confidence. Was this the episode where White and Pink went, "We still haven't told the PreCure we lost all our notes"?
No, that's next episode. This is the episode where they lose all their notes.
Oh, okay. Because I couldn't remember anything coming of that.
Not yet. I think... So, one thing that happened in these episodes that I didn't mention in the succinct summary is that at the end of 26... Hibiki is like, "Oh man, the bad guys have gotten stronger and, they might just complete the Melody of Sorrow if we're not careful." She gets up at the beach. A lot of yelling at the beach in this season, but she yells, "The Melody of Sorrow will never be complete." And then a voice that doesn't belong to any of the characters with her says, "That's not enough." And Hibiki turns and she kind of looks for who was talking to her, but she doesn't see anyone. And right as she's about to talk to Ellen and Konade about it, one of the fairy tones comes up and boops her on the forehead and is like, "We're playing tag, you're it," and then flies away, thus distracting her. And then in the next episode, she hears a voice calling to her in her dream. It's going, "Hibiki, Hibiki," and she's like, "Who are you?" And then she's woken up by her dad being like, "Don't we have to go camping in 30 minutes? You haven't gone out of bed." She goes, "Oh no!" And then at the end of the episode, she gets called again, "Hibiki." And then she's like, "Did anyone else hear that?" And they're like, "No, you're crazy." And she it slips from her mind. So we are entering the next arc, as I believe I predicted in the last podcast episode, where Ellen has now officially joined the team, and they're working as a seamless trio. And now we have a focus on the fairy tones for the next couple of episodes. You said you didn't want to talk about the new mid-card because it's, potentially spoilers, but it's related to the fairy tones. And in the episode where Hibiki starts hearing a voice, it's the episode that started focusing on the fairy tones, and also the fairy tones are the ones that distracted her from asking too many questions. So my guess, and it's a little bit foreknowledge because the mid-card spoiled it, but my guess is that there's going to be something to do with gathering all 8 fairy tones, or the secret 9th fairy tone, or the queen of the fairy tone, something like that.
Totally. If we were going not based on mid-card spoilers, thank you, Toei, I would probably guess that it was like the previous PreCure, like whoever gave Muse her powers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really like that.
They've done that in a couple of seasons now, where the ghost of PreCure past talks to PreCure present.
Absolutely. We had a bit of a tease with Cure Muse saying, I'm not on anyone's side. And I was like, what if there's something else besides the melody of sorrow and the melody of happiness? And so, potentially there was some ancient prophecy, so ancient that even Princess Peach in Majorland herself doesn't know it. And somehow Cure Muse knows it, and she's trying to help the girls stay alive long enough to fulfill it, and maybe Hibiki's the chosen one. So, also, I just want to say, at the very beginning of this season 2, I was like, yeah, Hibiki is the main character. Kanade is the secondary main character, but Hibiki is definitely the leader, and the fact that she can hear the voice once again confirms to me that she's the main character and Kanade is along for the ride.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that henshin sequence.
Yes, absolutely.
The minor trio has no right to be this hot.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to throw that sentence out there and let it sizzle,
Put it on the grill, let it heat up for a little bit.
Right, let it caramelize a bit.
So,
they have abs now.
They have abs. Okay, let me set the scene. The minor trio are at the beach, the real beach episode we deserve, according to that one welder guy, and I'm willing to agree. And Wario goes, "Guys, I can make you stronger." I could have done this at any time, but I've waited till now for some reason.
He does say those exact words.
But he uses, I believe they're called evil noise. Those are the weird ear things that Mephisto is wearing that he used on Ellen, formerly known as Siren. He puts them in the ears of these 3 guys. They get a henshin sequence where their skin becomes kind of translucent the way that it does for the sweet girls. And when they transform, they look different. Baritone and Falsetto have noticeable abs, and they're wearing tighter outfits, which kind of that says something about society right there. And Bassdrum or Blastdrum.
Wait, I have to say something cursed. What can I say? The ultimate recipe in Delicious Party is going to be scrambled eggs with chocolate sauce over jelly beans.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cursed. I'll never be able to sleep again. Whoa. Okay, so
Bassdrum.
Bassdrum is also looking more muscular, but he was already kind of like a bigger dude, and he just feels rotund to me, is the word I would use. And he has a really impressive beard now, and he looks. Another word that comes to mind is more bestial, which is unfortunate, because he's the darkest skin of the minor trio. The other 2, I would say, comfortably look either white or Japanese, depending on... But he kind of looks, tan or whatever, and now he looks a little bit more animalistic-y than the others, and I wonder if that was an intentional choice or not.
I love how when they're on the beach, the 2 who are kind of tan, so Bassdrum has the darkest skin, and then Falsetto is pretty tan.
A little bit, yeah.
They're out in the sun, in the water, splashing around, playing. Baritone, who is the palest skinned of them, has a little bandana on, and he's under an umbrella.
And a mask.
And a mask. He is protecting his silky skin from the harsh rays of the sun.
Absolutely. So they all transform. They all get a mark over one or both eyes. Falsetto and Baritone have different eyes. So I think one is right eye, one is left eye. And then Bassdrum has 2, one over both eyes. And then they each get a new special power. So, Bassdrum, I believe, can smell the notes, and He didn't have any other special ability, right? Because
not that I remember seeing. The other got attacks.
Yeah, Falsetto has like an energy whip he can wrap around things, and also he can hear the notes really well. And then Baritone has psychic powers, like legit levitation powers, and also his eyes can see things that are hidden. Excuse me.
Oh my gosh, you could use him to get all the secrets in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
Oh my gosh, you could? Yes, absolutely. The mystery is solved.
These eyes, Gregory. I can see everything.
Absolutely.
Hibiki, I can see that you copied Karede's homework last night. Gregory.
Ellen, I can see that you wrote in your notebook, Ellen plus OG and then surrounded by a little heart. That's totes adorbs. You're my superstar, Ellen.
Oh boy.
What do you think of the minor trio getting powered up in this way?
Good. Yes. Yeah. Awesome.
It makes the story more interesting.
I also like that they didn't actually have a choice in it because Mephisto is a bad guy. Yeah. So he was like, you guys aren't effective as you are. I'm going to use the noise of evil on you to make you even more evil, and then maybe you'll be useful to me.
Yeah.
I also like that the squabbles over who's going to be the leader have stepped up.
Yes.
Before, it was just Bassdrum attacking Siren's position. But once Siren was taken out, the other two were kind of like, so the position of leader is open then. It's up for debate. We'll debate.
Absolutely.
The PreCure get the ability in this episode to have their souls resonate with each other. That comes from Ellen's green fairy tone.
Yeah, and it doesn't... Fari, maybe?
It doesn't... No, it's Sori.
Oh, it is.
It doesn't appear to do anything against this negatone, but it is in contrast to the villains who are ineffectual and not in harmony with one another.
Yeah. So we have a character who appears to be a Cure Muse, who claims that she's not on their side, but you and I both think that, she's probably going to join them eventually. Maybe the soul magic, if that's what it's called, maybe the harmonization doesn't work because it's supposed to be with 4 people. So they tried to use it. It made them a little bit stronger, but it wasn't good enough. And then when Cure Muse officially joins their team, that's when they'll get the ultimate power or something like that.
Yeah, could be.
Also, the negatone also got a bit of a power-up. It used to, you pointed out that it kind of looked like bird bones on the monster. It is now, they used to be white bones. Now they're like a black, purplish kind of color, and the eyes are glowing red. So the negatones have also gotten stronger, which again fulfills the prophecy of the mega negatone.
With that, I think we're ready to move on to sound bites, sweet yes. Sound bites. There are so many.
There are.
James had a lot of thoughts. We appreciate you, that one welder guy on Twitter.
Absolutely. My favorite of all of the various comments that he made is that in Mac's heart, oh gosh, I forgot their names. Nagisa and Honoka should get one of those leashes that you put on children and just put that on Hikari. And honestly, yes, please, I need to see that.
Right? She gets lost. She doesn't know how to be existing in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about characters that are coded as neurodivergent. And while I don't think you want to go the route of the non-human character is neurodivergent too often, I think that you could easily get a neurodivergent flavor from the way she gets distracted and wanders off and then doesn't know what to do, or she gets overwhelmed by emotion and doesn't know how to manage them.
Yeah.
James also was very excited that Delicious Party was back.
Yes.
He said something extremely upsetting, and it's upsetting because I had forgotten this existed and I did not want to be reminded, but the prosciutto and melon reminded him of the ham and banana topped with hollandaise sauce from the 50s recipe books, and just describing that is making me feel like I might start gagging. I have a very sensitive stomach, so I'm going to try really hard to imagine something nice, like marshmallows with chocolate on them.
And sprinkles.
Oh, spronks. I love me a good spronkle.
Absolutely. He also, James, loved that Mary was basically a babysitter and had no idea how to handle a child, which honestly, fits snugly into my headcanon of Mary and I think his name was Fennel being a couple. I would love to see fan art, or maybe I'll try to draw it myself, of both of them just looking at baby Kome and being like, what do we do? I don't know!
Oh, that would be cute. You know who Kokone actually reminds me of?
Who's that?
Our friend's baby, Ruth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There was a short period of time where she was sick, and we ended up babysitting a couple of times to help her family out, and she was just so cute, and I could easily see her doing this "I'm rolling under you and getting you to jump over me" thing.
Absolutely. James also loved the progress for Kokone becoming closer to her friends and that sort of thing, coming out of her shell and that kind of a thing.
I liked his comment about, I would revere someone too if their family had the money for a ham carving station.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Maybe it is a price thing. I don't know how much these cost, but given my family's love of cooking and kitchen gadgets, I'm shocked we don't have our own meat carving station at my parents' house.
Yep.
Like, doesn't that seem like them?
I definitely could see your mom loving that, but it might just be too big as well. I know that there's not a lot of room in the kitchen due to all the gadgets in there.
That's true. I just want to throw this out there. We made corned beef a couple weeks ago for St. Patty's Day, and I took the leftover corned beef, which my mom sous vide for like 3 days and then roasted to get the outside all caramely, and I thinly sliced it on my mandolin, and it made the best sandwiches of all time.
Mandarin?
So, no.
Oh, okay.
That is also called a mandolin, though.
Oh, is it?
A mandarin is an orange.
Okay. James loved the fairy tones as well from episode 26. I didn't know that I needed more fairy tone in my life, but now they are one of my favorite mascots or kind of helper fairy characters.
Yeah, I didn't know that I loved them. And now it's like, I'll die for them.
Well, and they come across as a bit like children in a certain sense. And so at the beginning of the episode, I don't remember which fairy tones are which, as demonstrated earlier when I thought that Sorry was Fari. But one of them basically goes, remember the 3 rules. And I'm pretty sure rule number 3 is do it with a smile. And I think rule number 2 is like, we'll always work together to solve any problem or something like that. And I can't remember what the first rule was. But throughout the episode, every couple of minutes, they would count off. They'd be like, all right, roll call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're all here. And I wish that we had seen that in other previous episodes, but it comes in really handy when the bad guys are using tricks to try to take the fairy tones one by one, and eventually when they realize, oh, there's only 5 of us, where'd the other ones go? They're able to hatch a plan and save the PreCure.
Absolutely. Yes. I think we need more episodes that are just focused on the mascots going about their daily lives.
Oh my gosh,
You know, I would have loved an episode of Maho Tsukai PreCure.
Oh, yeah.
Where friggin' Mofaroon was just wandering around by herself for a day.
Yeah, an episode that was just Mofaroon would be great. I would also love a duo episode of Mofaroon and Ha, and because, again, they're not of this world, so some things seem really obvious to them that are completely wrong, but they're just so confident, just like, yeah, of course the subway is a magical portal that can take you anywhere you want to go. And Ha would be like, that makes sense.
That tracks with me, I love that. That's amazing. James also really liked that Hibiki in her dream was on Whole Cake Island, which is a place from One Piece. It's all sweets and food and stuff. But I just want to say, in our discussion question for either last week or the week before, or in our mic test, we talked about which planet they'd be from if they were in Star Twinkle, and we said Hibiki would be from some kind of sweets planet. And then in this episode, she dreams about being on a sweets planet. So we're geniuses. I'm just gonna...
Absolutely. I'm going to miss the breakneck speed at which we were going through Sweet. It is sometimes better to enjoy a series, slowly, but I'm very curious as to where this goes, and I think I'm going to have a delightful time with the end of this series.
Well, and honestly, I was having a really good time just talking about Sweet, because we got to discuss so much of it at once.
Yeah,
rather than having to split our focus. But I am sure that this show will go on another break at some point. I'm sure the Toei gods will smite us once again.
It wasn't the Toei gods, it was the Toei devil, the hackers that were trying to...
I can be your Toei god or your Toei devil.
All right, and that has been your...
Dude. Final thought.
outro goes here.
Don't forget, Yusuke Urameshi is a ghost.
Also, don't forget that there's 7 fairy tones, and they're all different colors. So what does that tell you? If you put them all together, you can cause fairy control.
The Sonic movie was good. Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at PirateGhostHost. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Kotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full.